I abans de començar amb el torn de preguntes, la directora general de Patrimoni Cultural del Departament de Cultura, Sònia Hernández, ens vol dedicar unes paraules perquè a primera hora del matí no hi ha pogut ser per qüestions d'agenda, ara sí, i llavors ara ens farà una breu explicació.
Hola a tothom, bona tarda, diria ja a aquesta hora. En primer lloc us demano disculpes, que aquest matí hem tingut una mica d'imprevistos d'agenda i no us he pogut donar la benvinguda a primera hora i per tant no volia deixar passar l'oportunitat un momentet, només us prendré 2 minutets del temps que tenim dedicat al torn obert de paraules. Al llarg del matí, això sí, he tingut l'oportunitat de sentir totes les intervencions, he vist com de ple està aquest auditori, l'atenció i l'interès per part de tots vosaltres i d'una banda penso que ens hem de felicitar com a col·lectiu professional per la celebració d'aquesta jornada, però sobretot per aquest gran interès que teniu i que mostreu per fer cada dia millor la vostra feina, sent presents avui aquí a escoltar experiències d'altres que ens poden servir a nosaltres. Perquè fer millor la nostra feina passa per comprendre allò que ens envolta, posant les persones al centre, una cosa que en parlem sovint i que al final és difícil de fer, és la nostra missió també en el patrimoni. I no cal dir que aquí la joventut hi juga un paper molt important. Ja ho sabeu que pel Departament de Cultura els drets de les persones a l'accés i al gaudi de la cultura és un eix d'acció clau i prioritari. I la jornada d'aquest any ens permet treballar-lo enfocant la perspectiva cap allò que motiva, interessa, apropa o allunya, si és el cas, el col·lectiu de joves als nostres museus i monuments. I a més, fer-ho en una doble direcció, com a destinataris d'aquestes accions nostres i de les nostres propostes, però també com a actors principals d'aquesta acció. M'agrada moltíssim que en aquesta jornada no es parli només de joves, sinó també que se'ls doni veu, com tindrem oportunitat de sentir al llarg de les sessions de la tarda. Perquè des de les administracions tenim la responsabilitat de fer, però també l'obligació d'escoltar. I això ens permet fer millor també a nosaltres la nostra feina, que és el que volem. No vull dir res més. Agrair-vos a tots que sigueu aquí per la vostra assistència, agrair a l'equip de Patrimoni que ha estat durant mesos treballant perquè aquesta jornada avui estigui tot a punt i sigui un èxit i profitosa per tothom, donar les gràcies als ponents que he sentit fins ara per aquestes inspiradores experiències que han volgut compartir amb nosaltres, que ens ajuden a mirar endavant i també desitjar-vos a tots que sigui molt profitosa la jornada i que sigui molt inspiradora.
Molt bé, doncs ara ja sí, voldria convidar tots els ponents de totes aquestes xerrades del matí que vagin pujant en filera. Ara posarem unes cadires perquè estiguin més còmodes. Començarem aquest torn de paraula per respondre a les qüestions que tingueu, tant les persones que esteu presents com les persones que ens han estat seguint a través de les xarxes socials, a través de l'streaming de YouTube del canal oficial. Per fer una mica de temps també explicar-vos que en principi està prevista que l'hora de finalització sigui d'aquí uns minuts. Haurem d'allargar perquè la previsió era a 2:45, allargarem uns minutets però tampoc no massa més perquè a 3:45 hem de tornar a ser aquí i us demanem puntualitat perquè si no al final anirem allargant tota la jornada i acabarem per l'hora de sopar i no és la intenció. Llavors farem un torn de preguntes a partir de les qüestions que vosaltres tingueu, que vulgueu formular. I quan marxem per dinar, sobretot les persones que tingueu aquests aparells de traducció simultània, deixeu-los a l'entrada per després, si ens calen, poder disposar d'ells. Així que si ja ho tenim tot a punt i si algú vol formular alguna pregunta, anirem per ordre en funció d'aquella gent que primer faci aquesta pregunta. Allà hi ha una, no sé com els companys em sembla que portaran els micròfons. Sí, si la persona pot tornar a aixecar la mà, aquesta, sí.
Do we need...
Sí, yeah.
Here you are. Espero que no.
Sí? Sí, jo volia expressar una petita discrepància amb el ponent inicial que ens ha parlat de la caracterologia de la joventut, amb algun aspecte, és a dir, ens parla, evidentment, sabem que la desafecció de la joventut s'expressa amb el que ja ha dit, la passivitat, afortunadament també amb expressions de rebel·lia, de protesta, ja ha dit, de reivindicacions, que es manifesten amb reivindicacions anticapitalistes, feministes, ecologistes, etc. Però he trobat a faltar una referència que jo crec que l'hem de tenir present, que és la preocupant increment d'actituds entre sectors joves, entre la joventut, d'actituds xenòfobes, racistes, masclistes, que cada vegada estan més creixent i que s'estan detectant. I en aquest sentit crec que també és una caracterologia actual que hem de prevenir. I aquesta prevenció també l'hem de fer i la podem fer i l'estem fent des dels museus i des del patrimoni. Aquesta tarda ja veurem una experiència, bones pràctiques en aquest sentit des de Vilanova. Però en tot cas recordar que hem de tenir en compte, perquè seria absurd que hi tanquéssim els ulls, seríem uns ingenus si no ens estiguéssim fixant en que hi ha aquestes actituds preocupants de ressorgiments dels neofeixismes entre la joventut, d'aquestes actuacions intolerants que també són, en certa manera, una reacció antisistema a les decepcions que ells estan veient amb la societat, el que els ofereix aquesta societat burgesa i capitalista, que no els ofereix el que ells necessiten, però algunes actituds antisistema estan derivant cap a aquestes manifestacions reaccionàries i en aquest sentit els museus del patrimoni tenim el deure de poder contribuir a combatre aquestes actituds entre els joves amb els nostres discursos, transmitint valors democràtics amb les nostres exposicions d'art i d'història. Evidentment també fer-ho de forma divertida, com hem vist en el cas de Berlín, fer-ho de forma inclusiva i de forma en connexió amb els seus sistemes de recepció, però en tot cas no perdre el valor que no només hem d'oferir entreteniment, sinó que el que hem d'oferir és transmissió de valors. I en aquest sentit, els museus del patrimoni tenim molt a fer.
Qui vulgui respondre...
A veure, és evident que hi ha un ressorgiment, per exemple, de l'extrema dreta arreu del món. El que passa que jo discrepo amb que això sigui un tret de la joventut. Si analitzem comportament electoral, moltes vegades aquesta atribució, diguéssim, del vot a l'extrema dreta a la joventut no és cert. Dic moltes vegades perquè, per exemple, en el cas de Vox a l'estat espanyol, això ha fluctuat molt entre les diferents eleccions. Jo crec, permetem, que aquest és un cas de microscopi. Allò que deia al principi, ens fixem molt en la joventut perquè ens preocupa el futur i posem la lupa i el microscopi en el col·lectiu jove i li atribuïm determinats fenòmens socials, determinades pors, que en realitat estan molt més connectades amb el funcionament social en general. Per tant, no crec que la solució a l'extrema dreta, al racisme, es resolgui educant a la joventut. Crec que el problema de l'extrema dreta, el racisme, es resol transformant aspectes que transcendeixen la joventut com a col·lectiu. Sí que crec que en la joventut rau, en canvi, bona part de l'esperança, diguéssim, a la crítica a determinades derives dels projectes de les nostres societats. No vull donar la sensació, ni tinc cap intenció, diguéssim, de defensar la joventut per se, però sí que crec que en els moviments que hem vist en els últims anys, el lideratge de la joventut ha tingut un paper molt rellevant i jo podríem fer una jornada exclusivament d'això, però respondria això, que em fa l'efecte que aquesta és una mirada de microscopi, que hem de, sobretot, posar en relació aquest fenomen amb la societat.
Paul?
Yeah, and one thing I forgot to say when I was presenting is that 65% of the visitors we have now are young people. And young people are just like humans. You have them in all flavors. So you've got the left extreme and the right extreme, if you've got the big middle. And I think as museums, I'm very interested in the big middle, in the grey middle mass. I want to, make them a part of the right way. And I think that extreme right, at least, is not the right way. And what the exhibition is trying to say, listen, the world is complicated, but it's fun to meet. So if I use fun, I don't do it for the fun of it. It's just a method to get attraction so that people involve. But the message is very serious. The world is complicated, but if you just embrace this complication, and then you will meet so many new people. You will get so many new insights. The exhibition is a popular exhibition against populism. And so it's an answer on your question, but I can't win wingers. I can't. I can't win the right extremists from where they are. I don't want to refer to them, because if they're there, they make an insecure area for the people that are in the middle, and mostly for the diverse communities, because they border out. And one thing institutions like museums should do is make rules about bordering out. It's not allowed. So every community that applies for a free space exhibition has one rule. You can tell whatever you want about your own group, but you are not allowed to border out anybody else. Tell about yourself and don't say anything about something. Maybe you have been prosecuted by Nazis, fine. Tell about the political system of the Nazis that killed your people. But don't talk about others, talk about your own history, and don't sort of exclude others. And this is a rule. And right-wingers always exclude. They're not welcome if they're doing that. And I'm not going to work with them. I'm not going to work with them. Because if I do, and I get them in my museum, and that is great, I've got right-wingers. No, it's not. Because the people that are discriminated don't feel safe. And they are the non-mainstream that are really now, so to say, need the attention to make our view of the world broader so that we can save this world. Because what is happening everywhere? What is our responsibility of that? What did Spain do in the history, and what is happening today, which still has to do with that? What did the Dutch do in history, which is still going on and going on? What did the British do, etc., etc.? So, I mean, let's talk about that. And so if the right-winger comes and says, oh, nonsense, no, it's not nonsense. Shut up. I'm sorry, I'm very clear about that. We're not there for people that border others out. If the left-wingers do it, okay, then also I've got a problem. And I have to be clear to them, please don't do the same as what the others do. Just try to be open to the world and to the grey mass in the middle, which we have to involve into the right direction. This is the movement we have to make. And we have to make young people very, very aware. And they are, I think, for their political position. And maybe the party politics don't fit to them, but they will be active. And you just explained that with your non-microscope vision on how they are. And my kids are 16 and 18 now. They are like that, and many of their friends are. And of course, they meet people in the street, and they are right-wingers, and they have problems with them, and they fight with words. But you know, that is just normal life. We cannot have an ideal community, a sort of paradise in this world where everything is all right. As long as the democratic, so to say, group which is in power has a democratic way of thinking, acting, and also governing the countries and the world.
No sé si algun dels ponents vol afegir alguna cosa més. Veia que la Rachel es sentia molt de forma, com manifestava molt estar d'acord amb ell. Si vols afegir alguna cosa.
I can add something. I think there was a report in the UK called Panic. It's an arts emergency, and it explored taste and socioeconomic representation within the workforce of our cultural sector and organisations. And I think what was really interesting there, and something that I think a lot about, is that we in the arts and cultural sector, we see ourselves as this liberal, open space. We invite everybody in. We are here for everyone. But actually, if you looked at the representation in the workforce across banking, transport, many other sectors, we were doing a terrible job. We're doing a terrible job at representing those from a wide socioeconomic background. And so I think in terms of how I think I completely agree with what you've just been saying, Paul, because I think it can be very easy to exist, particularly in kind of arts, cultural museum spaces, in this kind of liberal space where actually everybody's welcome. But we have to really, we are public organisations, and young people are a mini public. We need to ensure that we are representing the views of all young people that want to come into these spaces, and we create a space. That's exactly what our collections can do. They open questions. They enable young people to, ask questions, to express themselves, and so difference and complexity of the world around them and what is existing in their lives is incredibly important to that. There are boundaries, of course, safety being absolutely paramount, but I think it can be very easy for organisations to lean in certain spaces, and it's very important, I think, to hold that kind of middle ground, particularly when working with young people. I remember being, I'm sure everybody is aware of what is happening in British politics at the moment. But flashback to a simpler time when Brexit had just happened, and we had a conversation with our Tate Collective producers, expecting many of them to feel this deep despair that was happening in London. And actually, they were completely 50-50. They have heritage and connections and families from across the world and are very, very different in terms of their socioeconomic backgrounds. And so, I think it's really important to kind of hold that middle ground where sometimes arts and culture, we can see there being a kind of, liberal values as being, threaded through what we're doing. So I think it can be very easy to exclude, actually, in those spaces.
Doncs molt bé, si hi ha més preguntes, una única qüestió. Quan feu la pregunta, sisplau, presenteu-vos abans per posar-vos nom, diguéssim, i els ponents, quan feu les respostes, intentar fer una mica més breu per tal que tothom pugui, qui vulgui preguntar, doncs que tingui una resposta. Aviam, Vale, fantàstic.
Sí? Se sent?
Sí.
Jordi Giramé, Ajuntament de Tarragona, Festival Tarracó Viva, de divulgació històrica. Primer de tot, moltes gràcies per totes les intervencions del matí. I llavors, la pregunta era concreta per la representant de la Tate Modern i de representant del Van Gogh. Perquè hi havia un punt de connexió amb les vostres exposicions que potser m'ha quedat una mica curt perquè el temps no donava per explicar més, no? Però amb aquest paradigma o aquesta manera de fer, de la millor manera de participació dels joves és implicar-los, heu posat dos exemples de constitució de consells molt permanents al llarg del temps que d'alguna manera acaben coprogramant, participant i que d'alguna manera condicionen tot l'esdevenir o la pròpia cultura organitzativa de la institució, un canvi de perspectiva molt important. Fins i tot parlava, em sembla, el component del Van Gogh de fer partícips a la resta de personal de l'equipament, d'aquesta manera de fer. Llavors, voldria que expliquéssiu, si pot ser una miqueta més el procediment, és a dir, com feu la tria, quant temps estan com a consellers, com feu el recanvi, quantes vegades us reuniu, crec que en algun cas sí que ho heu explicat, però si podríeu ampliar-ho. I llavors, un element que m'ha semblat especialment interessant o rellevant o que fins ara no havia sentit, que és que heu introduït el tema de contraprestació monetària, per formar part, és a dir, que acabeu pagant. Hi ha grup focus i tot, però acabeu pagant. No sé si això, diguéssim, és per retenir-los, seria una qüestió una miqueta no tan altruista, o bé perquè és una manera també d'indicar-los que són importants i que, per tant, el seu temps també té valor. Una mica com enfoqueu aquest fet. Moltes gràcies.
I can start. I'll try and keep it succinct. So at Tate in London, we don't select the young people. That's a very important aspect for us. So in order to join the group, we work with local youth organisations who we know are working with young people who are underrepresented in our cultural workforce. We invite them to a taster day. If they enjoy it, it's run by our existing group. So they might be a tour of the museum, a workshop, sometimes they've done a late night. And then if they enjoy that, then they sign up to a week or 3-4 days of workshops where they meet Tate staff, they have tours, we have artist-led workshops. So they join by participating, and so they have to essentially turn up and enjoy it. And if they want to join at the end of that, they sign on the dotted line. So it's very important to us. It's anti-meritocracy. So it's not saying we're not looking for the most talented artists or the most talented photographers. We're looking for young people. And when we ask for referrals from the local organisations, it's about young people who really are in need of this community and are in need of, could really maybe falling through the cracks in other areas of their life. So we have a very open, it's a closed recruitment process, but it's also very open in terms of who can take part. And I think in terms of the process of working with them and paying with them, we have a very kind of clear outline or policy that we've developed over many years with them around what they are paid for and what is a learning experience. And I would say the majority of the program, our program, is a learning experience. So they are researching the collection, they are developing events, but when they are delivering those events or delivering anything that we would pay a staff member to deliver, then they are paid. And the payment is about acknowledging their time. So from our perspective, we shouldn't be inviting young people to come and co-curate programs and then deliver, which is, they're gaining so much from that. They're learning skills, networks. But when they are delivering, that we would be paying event assistants. When they're doing work that we would be paying other people to do, it's important to pay them for their time. So it's not a retention, although some young people do just stay on and do paid work. And for us, also, that is okay. Many of them have very different economic backgrounds. But the program itself, I would say the main driver itself is the community that they're a part of and the learning experiences that they have. The payment is about acknowledging their time when they're doing work we pay others for.
I don't know. I should. Is this working or not?
Okay.
So I think I have to. It's okay. Thank you for the question. We have a bit different approach. We have a group of 18 people, and they are really an employee-based construction, and they are with us for a year. And they get paid for 10 hours a month, and that's the amount of time that they are working for us. But they can choose what they want to do in that specific time. So they can advise us, they can develop programs, they can run into core business, they can do whatever they want, and we, of course, discuss that with them, so individually. So there are people within the group that really want to guide. So they'll get this guiding training and get and of course add some specific personal touch in the guiding tours. There are people that really want to develop special programs on our Friday night events. So there's an individual approach, but there's an equal employee construction we have with those people. And because of the pandemic, we the group we have now is in the second period actually, because they couldn't do enough for us, and we couldn't give back enough for them. So we decided that we wanted to have this group for the second period. And they, of course, were they decided themselves if they wanted to continue or not. But most of the group continued the second period.
Allà hi ha una mà alçada.
Hi, just a short question. I was wondering, how do you mediate or how do you handle proposals that might come out of these groups but are not aligned with the values of the institution, especially when it comes to terms of gender, gender or racial diversity? How do you mix and match those two diverse visions?
I com et dius, perdona, qui ets, perquè sapiguem qui ets?
Sí, perdoneu. My name is Ana Guarro. I'm from the Museum of Design here in Barcelona.
Yeah, we do have discussion, of course, about that. But I think the space to have this discussion is even more important. And I have an example. We have a group of young people with a bicultural background. So actually, that's not really inclusive, because we exclude the Dutch who only have a Dutch background. And we did have a great and emotional discussion about it within this group of 18 people with a bicultural background. And it was about the diversity. And if it was, and we wanted to bring in also people, young people with only a monocultural background, and we had a huge discussion about it. But the discussion itself was, I think, very vulnerable, and it was such a good open discussion where everybody could speak out their opinion and emotion. So it was personal, and that I think is even more important. And of course, when we do have interviews, so we do have we do need a personal motivation if they want to join the group, and there we really explain clearly what our values are. So
for us, I think it's a good question, and it's something that I think we are kind of constantly working on. You know, it's an imperfect practice. I think with our Tate Collective producers, I think in a word, I would say it's transparency, ultimately. And it's constantly reviewing and working on that, because there is work. So if we think about the iceberg also, there is work that we're doing with young people, and then there is also work that we're doing with the organisation. And so personally, I'm involved in a lot of organisational change strategies. I'm part of our race equality task force. I've been very kind of vocal, meeting directors, you know, doing a lot of work leading some work in our department. And for me, I mean, it's not only for me personally as a person of colour, but it's also, you know, it's for members of my team and for Tate Collective producers. And so it's back to that youth and future. I don't think we can separate the work that we're doing with young people without having to unpick all of these ugly histories that mean that young people might feel unsafe in our space. And I spend a lot of time with whether it's young people or organizations or kind of youth groups that have come in, and they might feel a certain way in the space. They might feel like they've been policed, or they might feel, and so this creates so much more work for us to ensure that people feel welcome. So I think it's about exposing the work that is happening, the conversations that are happening behind the closed doors, because there is work happening. We may not be perfect, there's a long way to go, but one thing, some of the practical actions, I suppose, that we have done is invite our Tate Collective producers to join our race equality network, for example. And so they are able to join and hear updates. There's a director sponsor at the moment, that's Maria Baushaw, director of all Tate. So she attends those meetings and we have conversations about what is happening internally. So for young people to be a part of those conversations makes it a lot more easier when those proposals or that, the ideas that may not be possible to execute as an organization feels really important. And I think the other thing is about connecting young people to leadership. So we've had sessions, for example, with our head of director's office, who has our kind of key link into DCMS, which is our representing Tate within government, with trustees. So we have a youth engagement trustee. So ensuring that young people have the opportunity to be in front of people in, strategic leadership decision-making roles within the organization and understand how, because there are many things that we, Tate has this kind of unusual, we're a non-governmental departmental body, which means we're government funded, but we are not part of the government. We are arm's length, we call it. And so that, that has all sorts of impact around what we can do and how we can, what we can say and how we program. So it's important, I think transparency is my short answer.
En aquests moments estem ja passats de temps. De totes maneres, si voleu, si a tothom li sembla bé, allarguem menys de 10 minuts fins a les 2, però allà ens plantem perquè tothom tingui temps per dinar i a 3:45 estem aquí. Llavors, això, si algú vol fer una pregunta més, que em feia l'efecte que algú volia preguntar, pregunta ràpida, resposta ràpida si pot ser, i així a les 2 tanquem ja aquest torn de preguntes. No hi ha preguntes? Pensava que sí. Si no n'hi ha... Doncs bé, moltíssimes gràcies. Ens veiem, com deia, a 3:45 per seguir aquesta jornada. En aquest cas, xerrarem amb els integrants del canal Malaya perquè ens expliquin una mica com fan aquesta aproximació també amb els joves, amb aquesta aposta per trobar referents culturals en català. Llavors ens veiem d'aquí una estona. Moltíssimes gràcies i sobretot deixeu els aparells de traducció simultània, sisplau, a l'entrada. Gràcies.